Second update. I think my husband fathered his best friend's children, and now one of them is attracted to my daughter. The last time I looked at Luke's phone was 3 months ago, around the point where Sophie and Tom began to go around claiming they wanted to date. I found nothing. While I know how to search for recently deleted photos and didn't see any, my comments taught me how to see recently deleted messages. So when Luke was asleep, I did just that. I swiped his phone and brought it downstairs and checked recently deleted. I'm glad that I did, but I also wish I had not, because I'm still reeling from the pain. Sure enough, a conversation with Amy had been deleted. Recent texts talking about the conflict between her and me, with Amy describing me as a problem, and Luke trying to pacify her, without defending me at all, to be clear. They both alluded to how they'd expected this for a while and just hoped it would never happen. Me accusing them of having an affair. While the whole conversation and the fact that it was deleted was sketchy, nothing was actually admitted, so I scrolled a bit higher, to a few days before the fight. Amy's messages got a bit more flirty. Then I saw it. 5 days before I confronted them, Amy had sent Luke a topless picture, a selfie with no shirt or bra. Guys, I teared up. I knew it was true. I knew it in my bones. But seeing the proof still cut me like a hot knife. Doesn't help that Amy's always had bigger breasts than me. I exited the Messages app and checked Luke's recently deleted photos. Sure enough, the same selfie was there and others. Amy topless. Amy naked in various poses to show off. There were pictures of the two of them cuddled and pressed close like a couple. In some of these, she was naked, and some they both were. There were videos. Amy sent Luke a video message of herself topless, and I had to actually hear her voice talking to him in a tone that just made me sick, about how she was sending him a quick photo to help him get through the day. In more than one video, she called him her boo, and hearing her call him that, I almost vomited. I stopped looking at that point. I'd seen enough. For about 5 minutes, anyway. Then a strange compulsion to keep searching led me to check Luke's laptop. I knew enough of his passcodes to access his iCloud storage, and yeah, basically more of the same. There were letters, long letters between them. I didn't have the heart to read past the first few lines of one of them, but I did read Luke mention our children. There were countless naked topless selfies of Amy, selfies of them together. There were sex tapes of the two of them. Tom had previously offered to try and hide a camera in Amy's room, but he never needed to. Luke was hiding a whole treasure trove under my nose all along. I scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. There were so many, going back years. Not all of it was even sexual. There are some photos of Amy's kids, too. One video was Kaylee and the twins playing together when they were younger, and Luke and Amy's voices from behind the camera. There were even old pictures of Luke and Amy from when they were younger, and I snapped. All these years I've been telling myself I had to be wrong, that it couldn't be true. Well, it's true. I know no one forced me to look as much evidence as I did, but I'm still hurting badly from seeing it in the moment. I wanted to act, so I did. I called my lawyer, who's a remarkable woman. It was the middle of the night, so I had to call her twice, and she picked up. Though I had woken her when I asked her to come by and said it was an emergency, she agreed. I also asked her to draw up the paperwork and have it ready. She told me she already had it ready since I first reached out to her. As I waited for her, I went through the necessary channels on Luke's laptop to make sure he wouldn't be able to remotely even disconnect our access to his little stash, changing passwords and all that. My lawyer, let's call her Paige, arrived, and I went outside to greet her in the car. I spent a good half hour in the passenger seat just crying, and she was great about that before I passed Luke's phone and his laptop with all the information she needed to use them. I went back inside. I packed up Luke's things while the house slept. At one point, Owen got up to use the bathroom and asked me what I was doing, but I just told him I was cleaning. I ignored any questions, and I woke up Luke. He was confused and half asleep, but he followed me outside. Once we were in the car, I pulled out the divorce papers and officially handed them to him. This was about when he figured out what I was doing, and he tried to talk me out of it, tried to be sweet with me, to be tender. He kept insisting that he loved me, and there'd never been anything with Amy, kept trying to persuade me not to tear our family apart. Even 2 weeks ago, I might have wilted under him because the manipulation and gaslighting were truly masterclass, but I can see through it now. I didn't tell him that I knew he was full of crap. I didn't tell him what I had seen. We argued a little bit longer, but in the end, he decided to be the bigger person and keep the peace. At that moment, I didn't care where he went. Before he left, he did ask about his phone and laptop. I waved him off by saying that they were in one of the bags. That bought a little time. I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. I just cried more. I woke up the others and gently told them that their dad had gone to stay somewhere else for a while. That I wasn't sure where, but from now on things were going to be different. Louise was the one to ask if we were getting a divorce, and I couldn't lie to her. I told her yes. Owen asked when we could see their father again, and I wanted to cry. Sophie was a very big help, urging her siblings to be sympathetic to me right now and worry about their dad later. I got the kids to school, and my next step was to call and have the locks changed. I knew Luke would be back for his devices before long, but thankfully Paige returned them with him before he showed up. It was a quick visit. She just told me that all was accomplished, and she had records of everything we would need in court. Sure enough, Luke turned up an hour later, demanding to know where his laptop and phone were. I'd set them back in our bedroom like they never moved, and I just told him he'd forgotten them. He insisted that I said they were in one of the bags, so I just shrugged him off and told him I must have been mistaken. After he grabbed them, he tried to reason again with me, but I showed him the door. I talked to my mother that night. Apparently Luke showed up at his parents' house, which was a surprise. I was certain he would stay with Amy, but maybe he even knows how suspicious that would look to the children and doesn't want to rock the boat as much. Maybe he knows I'm more likely to let my children see their grandmother than Amy at this point, and he wants to give them his version of events. That's not happening. Kat already shared his version with me, that he'd relayed to her and Jim that I'm having some kind of mental breakdown, and he wishes he could help me, but my paranoia is causing me to lash out and turn violent. I was never violent. I shoved him away when he tried to hold me. That is all. And what's so hilarious is he didn't even mention Amy at all to his parents. He didn't even frame that it was me falsely believing he was having an affair, even though that's his story when talking to me. He left Amy out of it while talking to his parents. As for Amy, she's radio silent. Tom has told Sophie that she's acting like nothing is wrong, but is clearly stressed out. That when her children now, she makes some sort of claims that I am having some sort of an emotional, nervous breakdown and is pushing her away, as well as Luke. She doesn't mention anything about me accusing them of an affair, but puts it on me. Amy has not reached out to talk to me directly, and I have not even tried talking to her. I haven't told my kids anything, just that I'm having disagreements with Luke and Amy, though I was very clear that it was not a question of my mental health. Honestly, I think they all kind of know what's going on. Sophie continues to be my rock, as I try to be for her and others, and Tom continues to be our spy in the ranks. Right now, my biggest regret is that the stress that all of this is causing on the children, which I knew it would, but it still needed to be done. My life has fallen apart. But then, it never was my life.